Hi, and welcome to a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. If you are tuning in, welcome to our brand new set. I know, right? Jazz hands. So I know spring started a little while ago, but we're still in our winter theme, but we are ready for spring. Granted, it snowed a couple of days this week.
Yesterday.
Like I'm over that. I'm
Yeah,
not quite sure what's happening there,
yeah,
but I'm like 2 days. It snowed 2 days.
yeah.
And I'm like, it's still spring, but we're premiering our brand new set. And also it is sipping tea with Suzanne, but instead of hot tea, because it's hot, it's only gonna get hotter for the rest of the season, we're gonna be doing iced tea.
Okay.
So you get to be the first guest to see the spring set.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's
I know
beautiful.
it's all flowers, right? And you also get to do iced tea. But
Nice.
today we're doing a little bit of celebrating, so we are doing with our fake champagne, sparkling
Yeah.
apple cider.
And we're gonna sing. I can buy myself flowers.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Please note,
Listen, it's all here.
please note, I did not bring up the singing, so I have to do it because that's what my guest wants.
We gotta do it together.
We will do it together.
Together.
We'll harmonize. I can't really
We
do it.
we have to practice the next time. We're gonna be like,
Like,
"Oh,
yeah, like that.
you know.
Fa la 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 la.
We'll do it. We'll
Okay.
do it.
So, so excited to be here. I am your host, Positively Suzanne, and it is a pleasure for me to sit this side of the chair and just talk to some phenomenal folks that I know. And Monica Adwani happens to be a fantastic
Thank
individual. And you were on season 1.
you. Yes.
And
Long time.
yes, and yeah, we're gonna talk about what's your journey's been like since then and what's been going on and how we've been, we've known each other for a few years
Yeah.
now and just always admiring what each other are doing and supporting and just so proud of everything that you're doing. So I'm
Thank you. Same
excited.
here.
Thank you.
Same here.
I'm excited to chat with you today.
Let's do it.
Let's do
What do you
this.
want now?
All right. I'm going to ask you everything, but let me thank our loyal viewers and subscribers who tune in week after week. We truly appreciate you. And our wonderful executive producer, Mr. Paul Anderson. Yeah, for making the magic happen week after week. We appreciate you. And thank you, everyone. Like, listen, and I always say this to folks, you don't have to be there in person for me to know that you're supporting me, from
Mm.
engaging on social media, from your texts and all of that. So I know that I've been busy the past couple of weeks, first with the summit and then with the tea party. And, I really appreciate everyone sending everything. And yes, the pictures will be posted soon, but it's been a busy week, y'all. So
Soon.
soon, and you'll get it. You'll
The
get it.
suspense is better.
I think so.
Yeah.
Plus, if you wanted to know, you would have been there.
Well, that day was like a lot of
No, there
different
was,
things happening.
I think there's
Yeah,
always a lot of different
yeah,
things. And
yeah.
that's why I say to people, just plan your thing.
Right.
And who's meant to come will come. And it's
Exactly.
not a bad thing. It's just that there's a lot of things.
You're right.
Like the night of the summit, there were, I think, 3 or 4 other events happening. You had an
I
event that,
had an event that day. We had a class that day. I
yeah,
remember I was invited to like 4 different
yeah.
events in Boston too. And I was like, can't do it,
Don't
people.
even.
Can't do it, people. Everybody decides to do all the events for, Women's History Month. I was like, we need to spread this. We need to start like in January and celebrate the entire year
And
because I mean, why month?
I don't. Well, I'm a woman every day,
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
So I think I'm gonna propose that for next year. It's like people,
Throw
just
that out
just
there.
just to start in January till like November. We'll do all
Absolutely.
the events for women.
Throw it out there. I'll take it. But I already put out my date. It's
Yeah.
March 6, 2026.
All
So
right.
I already said
Nobody makes another
nobody
proposal.
makes an announcement. I'm gonna send it to your assistant actually to make sure she puts it on your calendar.
She will.
Yes,
She
I'm gonna
will.
say, hi, Nair. Here you go.
Yeah. Shout out to Nair. She's amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
Always responsive. I appreciate it. So welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
And welcome to the set. Like this is the new studio when you came. Before,
Yeah, it was in the
yeah, it
other
was
location. Yeah.
absolutely. I was
It's
util.
beautiful.
Thank you. We were utilizing someone's space, but God has been so good. God is so intentional.
Yeah.
At
Always.
each phase of my life, He is, put things in my path when I'm ready.
Yeah.
when he deems I'm ready, because sometimes we think we're ready and he's like, not
Yeah,
yet.
not when you're ready. When he is
When
ready.
he's ready.
Yeah,
And, so I am blessed and I'm grateful that I have this opportunity,
I believe
to
that.
do this space. But there's been so much going on in your life. When we spoke
Yeah.
2 years ago, you were in one role, but tan
Yeah.
ta da da dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big news. You are now the CEO of Breezy Segunda.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the CEO of Breezy Seguros. New name,
Yes.
new management, like
Mm-hmm.
everything's new.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a long journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in insurance for 20 years, so it's
Yeah.
not like the overnight success everybody
Girl,
thinks.
please.
But some people,
They do. They're like, oh, Monica's just popped up. No, honey.
it's
Monica's been working.
I call it the 20-year overnight success.
Right?
Um, but yeah, no, I actually joined Breezy, or at that time BRC,
Mm-hmm.
3.5 years ago as
Mm-hmm.
a partner. And, the goal was to bring the company to a certain stage where my business partners could focus on other
Mm-hmm.
ventures, and for me to take over. And we end up doing that. um, so we it's all planned, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a plan. Everything has a purpose, and I think we are in a new era of
Mm-hmm.
Breezy. We rebranded
Mm-hmm.
the whole company. Everything, name, logo, colors,
Mm.
um, to be more inclusive of the Latino community, of the minorities, of the Brazilian community, which
Mm-hmm.
is amazing. Um, so yeah, it's been a great journey.
Mm-hmm.
Not short of challenges, but
Yeah.
definitely an amazing journey.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. So tell me, what has, I mean, you just mentioned that it's been an amazing journey,
yeah.
not devoid of challenges, and I think that everything has its challenges, right? So
Hmm.
what's been the hardest transition for you from being, part owner or partner to now the buck stops with me?
Yeah. I think, well, I play a lot of different roles
Mm-hmm.
into what I do currently, because I am a partner.
Mm-hmm.
I am the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
I am also a manager. I
Mm-hmm.
am a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of different hats
Mm-hmm.
inside the company, and people see you differently too. So
Absolutely.
depending on who you're talking and who you
Mm-hmm.
are addressing,
Mm-hmm.
you have to wear different hats,
Mm-hmm.
different ways that you communicate. So I think the most difficult thing is learning how to communicate and who are you communicating to.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm talking to my board of directors,
Mm-hmm.
I have to communicate one way.
Mm.
If I'm calling my referral, my partners, to talk something off their ear,
Mm.
then I have to have another type of communication
Mhm.
and interaction. If I'm talking to my team, there are certain things I can and I cannot share.
Mhm.
If I'm talking to my management team, there are things that I can and cannot share, and they're to be
Mm.
motivating, but I also have to keep it real. And
Mhm.
keeping that balance, it's really hard. It's hard to keep people motivating, but also keep people accountable. And basically, you have to keep this balancing act of, hey, I like you as a person, but you're
Mhm.
not producing, so there is a door you gotta go.
Mm.
Um,
Always a fun conversation.
so it's those things
Mhm.
that you are the person that have to make the call, and
Mhm.
you are the person that have to make the hard decision, and nobody's never going to be happy with you,
Mhm.
and you have to be okay with that. And I think that was the hardest transition for me.
Mhm.
I've always been an enabler, in the sense that I've always been in a position of making everybody else succeed.
Mhm.
Um, where now the game is a little bit different,
Mhm.
right? I need to have people around me to help me succeed.
Mhm.
And making those calls, and being that person where all the bad news come from you, all the hard decisions come from you. Um, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that is something that no one prepares you for. That's something that you have to develop like thick skin, and you have to develop some sort of shield,
Mm-hmm.
for you not to be affected emotionally and personally. So I think I'm not a one person show. I'm a 200 people show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of a different ball game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's
Okay.
that's it for me.
That's it for you. So, a lot. Just one or two things. The last time we spoke, you talked a lot about your faith and how your faith
Yes,
stabilizes you.
yes,
And I imagine you're leaning on your faith a lot because I think in every role that we're in, I think God places us there when we're
right.
ready, right? Or when
Hmm.
He deems we're ready. I think we have to establish that. So I imagine you're leaning on your faith a lot in
Hmm.
order for it to guide you to, like you said, there are 200 people's livelihood dependent on you.
Right,
And you also, if you're not successful, the company's not successful
right.
because, there's certain decisions that you have to make. So
Yeah.
you continue to lean on your faith, I take it.
100%. I've always been a woman of faith, even if I didn't visit a church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've always had this fear of God, and I believe that there is something greater, that it has a path for me, and I believe very, very strongly, especially due to things that have happened in my past. When I was um, 17 years old, I remember, and having this experience, I was married with to my first husband at that time, and he was an addict, and I remember that I almost died. When I think I was 18 at that time, and I remember that God saved me. God saved me from many things, and I've always been very grateful. And I promised Him my life.
Mm.
And regardless of what that journey has been for the past, I don't know, 23 years of my life, I've always had a lot of faith that anywhere He puts me, I have a purpose.
Mm.
And I will follow that purpose, and I will never make a step without asking Him if that step is right for me.
Mm.
So I think anything good or bad that has happened to me for the past 23 years of my life until this point, and even within this role, or what has got me here, it has a purpose.
Mm.
And I believe very strongly that because of that faith that I have, I've been able to overcome so many different things. It's motherhood, is being a wife, like my husband and my husband now of 20 years. It's actually our 20th anniversary now in um May. I don't know the day. He always, he knows that I
Well,
don't
he's
remember.
watching it, so
It's okay. He
yeah,
knows I don't
he
remember the
knows you
day.
don't remember.
I
Okay,
don't
so it's
remember
not a
the day,
surprise.
but it's
Okay,
in May,
okay,
somewhere in May.
yes.
And he has placed so many good people.
Mm.
Um, and at the same time, also people that have disappointed me, that I have learned from, a lot of different experiences since I moved here to the United States. So um, I do believe that, and this is for me. I don't expect everybody to agree with that, but for me, having that strong sense of who you are, that you are here with a purpose, and that you really have to ask the Almighty, or God, or whatever you want to call Him, right? It's up to the people. For me, it's God. Where do I need to go? Why are you placing me here? What is my purpose here? Um, why do I need to go through these things,
Mm.
right? Um, what is the outcome that you would like me to you know what is the outcome that you want to have
Mhm.
here?
Mhm.
And I've always used him as a guide, and I think uh, he has used my daughter a
Mm.
lot for me to be able to kind of
Mm.
reel back in a couple times.
Mm.
So yeah, I am a strong woman of faith. Um, I don't have room in my heart for hate or for, anything like that. I think everyone deserves the same opportunity, and that we are here to serve a purpose, and we're here just passing.
Mm-hmm.
So do the best that you can while you're passing
Absolutely.
through here. So yeah, I think that has sustained me
Mm.
tremendously through my entire journey, which hasn't been easy.
No, I I am sure. I am absolutely sure. Well, we're going to come back to that a little bit, but let's talk
Mhm.
about the insurance industry. There's so
Yeah.
much news outside
Oh yeah.
about it now, and you've been in the industry for 20 years, so
Yeah.
you have seen some changes and some
Just some.
just uh,
Can't wait for my phone to ring tomorrow after this.
absolutely. But there is genuine fear
Yes.
about the industry right now. So let's
Hmm.
talk about, where it's been, what's happening, and how do we reassure folks? I mean, first you need insurance. There's just no way
Yes,
around it.
that's not going
Like it's
anywhere.
not going anywhere. You need life insurance, you need health insurance, you need car insurance, you need pet insurance, you need insurance.
Risk insurance. Yeah.
Renter's insurance, you need
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about the insurance industry for a little bit.
Yeah, so the insurance industry has always thrived through recession, through anything. I think, we really have to go back to think about that small event that happened in 2020, right? Which is called the pandemic.
That little thing.
Yeah, that little thing that happened. And like it or not, the pandemic actually shifted
Mm.
not it's not the insurance industry per se, but it shifted the entire economic landscape
It
of the
did.
entire world, right? And now, 3 5 years later, and I say three because the changes started happening about 3 years ago. Now 5 years later, almost, the continuous effect of the pandemic are affecting us now. And
Mm-hmm.
we're going to see it now more than ever because we're entering into another economic recession,
Mm-hmm.
right? And unfortunately, during that time, prices increase for parts of cars. Bringing parts and bringing things from other countries became cumbersome, right? Like the cost of shipping items from one country to another went up, petroleum went up. All these things went up, and all of that is reflected into the insurance industry. Why? Because at the time of a loss, right? At the
Mm-hmm.
time of a loss, when someone has a claim, when something happens, right? You had a car accident, your house caught on fire, your business flooded, or anything happened,
Mm-hmm.
the cost of repair is
Mm-hmm.
now greater than
Mm-hmm.
it was 5 years ago. What happened is the insurance industry didn't catch that on time, right? And unfortunately, the cash flow of
Mm-hmm.
that didn't exist to cover for the increased amount of what now is, the inflation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what did they have to do? They had to react, right? And they had to increase their prices in order to keep up with the inflation that is happening on everything else that they use in order to repair your things, in order to repair your car, in
Mm-hmm.
order to pay the mechanic more because now it's costing more, because now labor is more, because now the minimum wage went up, right? Because now, a carpenter to buy wood is going to cost him 2 times more. Because now getting the police and the fire department out of their stations costs more. So all of this inflation that is going on in all the different industries has a direct impact on what insurance is today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, climate change, everything that has happened in Florida, in California, doesn't mean that it because just happened there is not going to affect you here. It's going to affect everything globally. So all the aspects of how the world is changing, right? And the economic landscape is changing, and now tariffs are changing. You are going to pay more
Mm.
because it costs more.
Mhm.
So is insurance going to go down? Sorry, the answer is no. Can you expect more increases in the next 3, 5 years? Yes, it's going
Mhm.
to get more expensive. And it's not going to be dropped a requirement that you don't need to have it. You have to have it. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if you think about it, it is an investment. For example, if you buy a car today, you drive it off the lot, you are your appraisal on that car is going down. If it says a 0 mile car, new year, automatically you drive it off the lot, and that um, price is dropping by $20,000. So the car that you now owe 60,000, and you pay 60,000 for, now it's probably valued at 37 because you just drove it off the lot,
Mhm.
but you still owe 60, right? So is actual cash value is not replacement cost. So
Mhm.
if you have an accident and you have a total loss, that insurance policy is going to pay for the amount that the car is actually valued, which
Mhm.
is 37,000,
Mhm.
but you still owe 60. So if you don't have gap insurance in your insurance policy, that's going to come out of your pocket and you have to pay it.
Mhm.
So insurance is an investment. Even if you pay, let's say, $1,500 a year for that car, if you have a total loss, it's going to be maybe 5 or 6 years before the insurance company can recover anything from you. And you probably are never going to be with that insurance company for 5 or 6 years to pay them back. So, you know,
Mhm.
people complain a lot about, oh, my insurance is too expensive. My insurance, went up 4%, 5%.
Mhm.
But the reality is that when a real catastrophe happens, the amount of insurance paid towards that claim, you're never going to pay it back.
Mm.
You
Okay.
never pay it
Mhm.
back. So it's a reinvestment, right?
Mm.
Insurance is a reinvestment. Let's say that, God forbid, something happens to a house you own, it's a total loss. Somebody has to rebuild that house back. It's not going to be you, but you still have to pay your mortgage. So the insurance is not just going to rebuild your house. They're going to give you money to put you in an hotel so you can still pay your mortgage, because if you don't have a house, you still have a mortgage that you
Mhm.
have to pay. You still have to buy groceries. You still have a family. You're probably going to have to use a laundromat. You're probably going to have all these extra expenses that you didn't have before until your house is rebuilt. All
Mhm.
of that comes from the insurance. Are you ever going to pay back $600,000 from a claim in your house? No, you're not. So I see insurance very differently.
Mhm.
Us that work in the industry see
Absolutely.
insurance very differently. The consumer see it as an expense that I probably never going to use, and that's understandable.
Mhm.
But we like to shift that into educating everybody that it's not an expense. It is an investment because you will have a claim.
Mhm.
Everybody has a claim at some point,
Mhm.
and that investment that you have made will pay for
Mhm.
whatever it is,
Mhm.
and you're never going to pay that money.
Absolutely. I mean,
you know
you're
so
correct.
it
You are
is it
absolutely
is
correct.
it is an investment.
Mhm.
And brokers like me, we don't get paid the premium that you pay annually. It's not how it works. We're not
Okay.
rich that way. We just have to
So you're saying the millions of people with insurance claim it's not going into your
it's
personal
not going
pocketbook.
into my pocket. No,
Good. Good
no,
to know.
it's
No.
not. I gotta make that clarification. That
Let's clarify
that
that.
that that
It's not them getting rich. Absolutely. It goes toward paying for your stuff. Yes.
exactly.
But no, you're right though. I think when you're in the industry, you do see it from different lens. I
Yeah.
remember being a manager at a location, having conversations with folks about 401k. And I know there's things going on right now. We're not
Yeah.
even gonna
Yeah.
talk about what's
Time
happening
to
with that.
buy.
Like, and I just remember them thinking that 401k was a waste of time.
Yeah.
And at the time the employee was doing an employee match. And I was like,
Mm.
it's money on the table.
Yeah.
That's money on the table. But they
Yeah. Three
didn't see it
percent,
that way.
4% is a
They were
good.
matching, I think, up to 6 at the time.
Amazing.
And but
Hmm.
they just like, oh, I might just match what they match. It's free
Hmm.
money.
Yeah.
But they couldn't make that mind shift.
Exactly.
So sometimes it really it requires a mind shift, and it requires
Yeah.
somebody like you sitting down with them and truly
Yeah.
explaining, okay, this is an investment.
Yeah. You can't really blame them either
No, not at all.
because most, most people are raised as expenders.
Mm-hmm.
We are not raised talking finance or talking
Not
about
at all.
investments or talking about how these can save a life.
Mm.
Um, in Massachusetts specifically for the past, I think, year or so, we have seen a tremendous increase on house fires.
Mm.
Not like California that are
Mm.
wildfires, not like Florida that are, hurricanes and floods, but in Massachusetts, because of the gas and distracted behavior, people forget to um, turn off their stoves.
Mm-hmm.
People put metal on the microwaves because of we are so distracted with social media and things like that that actually the situations claims that we are seeing
Mm-hmm.
are mostly like bodily injury claims, people forgetting that they let the stove on or they didn't turn off the gas or that
Wow.
they were smoking inside the house because now marijuana is legal and people forget and things like that. So
Mm.
so we're seeing a lot more claims
Mm-hmm.
due to behavior,
Mm.
which is something that we've never seen before.
Wow.
It's new, right? So
Yeah.
when in the pandemic, right, there has been now several studies where we were home, so we forgot how to drive, we
Mm.
forgot how to pay attention,
Mm.
we forgot how to be attentive to our environments, our
Mm-hmm.
surroundings, and a lot of the things that are happening with car accidents are mostly caused because distracted phone driving or pedestrians. People is not waiting, people doesn't have the patience anymore, so they see the green light and they don't look if there is someone coming, they don't
Mm.
look if there is a bicycle, they don't. So all these different things, so it's a whole different landscape, and we don't grow up being educated
Mm-hmm.
about any of those
Mm-hmm.
elements that are around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like kids that start driving at 16, they that 16 to 20 is the highest auto accident rate that we have in the United States because they don't know, right? They never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And here we go and we buy a brand new car for them to, instead of giving them the one that has the hole in the bottom.
The beater.
So, it's almost like adults and teenagers are having the same behaviors now. And we're getting into a new era where we have to rediscover
Mm.
what are these behaviors that we have to tackle to educate so we can kind of reduce the amount of incidents
Mm-hmm.
that are happening out there so people can be safer, so people doesn't have to pay more money for insurance.
Mm.
But the more incidents that are happening day by day, the more your insurance is going to go up, even if you didn't have the incident yourself.
Cause and effect. No, you're absolutely right.
So, yeah,
You're
so
right.
it's the educational piece that
Mm-hmm.
will make the entire difference. And I think that's why, we are thriving is because we have to sit down and have these difficult conversations with
Mm.
business owners. We have to, we tell them, hey, I understand you have a business, you don't want to pay more for this, but what if that
Mm.
employee that you just hired ends up robbing you or ends up, you know, doing something with a client and you end up losing a whole contract with that client? Like, do you have these risk management strategies in
Mm-hmm.
place in order for you to protect yourself? So we are, instead of talking insurance, we're talking about risk management,
Mm.
because people need to understand what risk management is. And it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a very fancy word,
Mhm.
but it's really not. It's just understanding like what do I need to do in order to protect myself and others around me better,
Mhm.
regardless if I'm a business owner, if I'm an individual, if I own a house or not.
Mhm.
Everything I do affects somebody else,
Mhm.
and affects me and affects my environment. So how do I, become aware
Mhm.
of that? It's just becoming aware so we can all have
Mm.
a little bit of a grain of salt in bringing all those incidents down and trying to get um, this industry to level up a little
Mhm.
bit better.
Okay. Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you. I think, we have learned, and personally, I think we learn when things happen. That's when we get educated about
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. If we educate ourselves before
Hmm.
we get to the loss,
Right.
then we'll certainly understand it. So
Right.
tell me some of the areas. So I know that the folks should have insurance. There's a lot of areas.
Hmm.
Where are the top places you recommend that folks have insurance?
Well, if you're a business owner, you
Mm-hmm.
definitely need at least four different kinds of insurance, which is the general liability, workers' compensation, commercial auto. Please don't label a personal car to go to work.
Uh,
To own your business, it's better to have a commercial auto policy. And then one that we people overlook a lot is the cybersecurity. People think it's just a hacker, but it's not. Cybersecurity has a lot to do with you processing payments, you holding client data, you having information about your clients that can become public. You using third parties that you don't know their policies about, data leaks and things like that. Just as simple as social media, a hacker comes into your social. I've known a couple of people that have happened to them. They go pay the ransom, and now they're in a hole because these people keep getting money from them. And because once you give those, you know, little digits out, you're done.
yeah.
Um, so we're talking a lot about cybersecurity, cyber risk, which is not about it does you don't have to be Johnson and Johnson to
Mm.
be at risk of cybersecurity, especially on this digital era. So we talk about, for example, for restaurants, we talk about business interruption. We saw a lot of restaurants and food service places closing during the pandemic because they didn't have business interruption coverage. Otherwise, they could have survived,
Mm.
probably. Some of them, not all of them. So many things, like depends if you're a nonprofit, if you are a realtor, if you are you have a Bree candy store. Bree's
Mm-hmm.
my client.
Oh, I love
um
it.
it depends on your business. We do a lot with carpenters, contractors, roofers. Roofers are huge for us. What if you are contracting a person that doesn't have experience? We actually had a client that had a subcontractor, and unfortunately, the subcontractor died. He fell off a roof and he died. And that's a $5 million claim. So depending on what you do is the
Mm-hmm.
different insurances that you will need to carry and the different ways that you can manage
Mm.
your risk.
Mm-hmm.
And from a personal side, it's mandatory here to have auto insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Massachusetts. Good luck. You need to have home, but renters insurance is something that people ignore. And,
Mm-hmm.
we have a lot of renters here. A lot of people, live in rented places. And we actually here in Worcester, we had a huge fire in one of the apartment complexes here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was more than 40 or 60 families were
Mm-hmm.
out of a place to
Displaced.
live. And they didn't have renters insurance, so they had to go and open GoFundMe. They have to ask money for, from their friends and family. I remember Natalie had to go and bring food for them
I
because some
remember.
of them didn't even have money to buy food. So, a simple renters insurance, which is no more than $150 a year, could have taken them to a hotel, put them in a hotel, find them a place where to live, pay for the down payment of that place, and they wouldn't have any interruption of their life financially whatsoever.
Mm.
But I don't want to pay $150 a year for renter's insurance. But you know,
Yeah.
you probably needed about 25,000 if from that fire that happened.
No,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
so it's those small things. So
Mm.
there is a lot of miseducation out there, and I think it is my job. It is my team's job. That's
Mm-hmm.
I tell them you are educators, and they sell by educating.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in our communities, minority communities where every dollar counts, right? Especially for them,
Mm.
we have to educate them the best way possible because one little mistake and it could mean financial ruin for them.
Mm-hmm.
I have had many clients that they come to the office, they yell, they scream, and at the end of the day, I have to say, I told you so. And I'm sorry, but I can't help you any further because I told you so.
Mm.
And I hate doing that
Mm-hmm.
because it is like somebody is like taking my stomach and I was like, I told him to buy that and he didn't want to buy it. And look, now he has to pay like over $20,000 on that car. But I
Mm.
told him,
Mm.
so it makes me angry.
Mm-hmm. Imagine. I can imagine.
But little by little,
Mm-hmm.
we put a grain of salt here, a grain of salt there. We do a lot with a lot of nonprofits
Mm.
in Boston, in Lawrence, in Hyannis, here in Worcester. Even though I don't have an office here in Worcester, we do a lot here in Worcester. Um, Everywhere we have 5 locations where most heavily populated areas are with minorities, and it is amazing to see that you say you're going to do a class and people show up because they don't know,
Good.
especially small business
Good.
owners. So yeah, I can say that we're on a mission.
I love it.
We're on a mission.
I love it.
And I know people is not happy
Mm.
about what's happening in insurance, but it is much deeper than
Mm-hmm.
that. Everything's going on: cost of food, cost of
Mm-hmm.
gas, cost of everything. Rents, everything. It's just a consequence of the economy. But if I can do anything to help people educate themselves more on the financial side, because at the end of the day, we are educating people so they can protect their pockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the end goal. Protect your pocket so you don't have to use your savings, you don't have to use anything you own
Mm-hmm.
if an emergency, a catastrophe happens,
Mm.
right? That's what insurance is for.
Mm.
So use it, pay for it, and just wait. At some point, we're all gonna
We're
we're
gonna
all
need
gonna need it. We're all gonna
absolutely.
need it. I Believe me, I hadn't had an accident in forever, in years. I think it's been more than 15 years, and I just had an accident last year. And I'm upset. I got points, people. It's okay. I got points on my license. I have to pay for my points. Not because I work in insurance doesn't mean I don't pay for my points. I pay for my points. But it was a big accident.
Mm.
It ended up paying over $50,000, and I just had to pay $1,000 out of my pocket, and I was like, great.
Mm.
you know, I pay more now, but
But
it is
mm.
the consequence of what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I pay $50,000
At
out of my
once.
pocket, which
Mm-hmm.
nobody has to give like that, or
Mm.
do I use insurance, pay $1,000, and then take the hit on paying a little bit more on a monthly basis, and then that's it, you know?
Well, thank you for that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you educating me and educating the audience about insurance. But I want to ask three last questions, then we're going to move on from
Okay.
that.
All right.
So when, for me personally, I think of the top three.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking for life insurance, what's the number one thing you should look out for?
Okay, for life insurance, you need to be looking at 5 times your household salary.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
House insurance, top thing to look for.
That will be the deductibles.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say two?
All right, two. Okay, say
And
two.
and that your house is insured at 100% replacement cost, which is not what you own
Mm,
on your mortgage.
mm,
It's
okay.
replacement cost.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And car insurance.
Car insurance is liability,
Mm-hmm.
definitely liability towards others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because you never know
Mhm.
what can happen around you. So don't carry the minimum.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
In terms of education, how can folks connect with you to get educated, to attend the classes,
Yeah.
to learn more?
Yeah. So they can follow us at Breezy Seguros on Instagram. It's all Breezy Seguros Instagram, Breezy Seguros in Facebook, or Monica Adwani, Adwani. Also on Instagram, also on Facebook, or just call us at
Mm.
508 603 6777 or 508 963 9108. Text, WhatsApp, call, we will answer.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So get educated. I always say
Yeah.
no one can take away your knowledge, and insurance is not going away, right?
Yeah.
It's a necessary part of life that we need. And as she so eloquently explained, it's risk. It's risk management. It's about
Mm-hmm.
education. And you don't need it till you need it. But
Yes.
when you need it and you have it, you're in a much better space.
Yes.
So
Thank. I, can I have that as a piece for me to like use it and advertise it? Thanks.
100%.
I'm gonna take that shot and I'll be like, marketing. Here we go.
Absolutely. 100%. No. Well, no, thank you for that. So
Yes.
I want to talk to you because you mentioned like you wear so many hats as a CEO
Yes.
and in Breezy. But in life you also wear a lot of different hats,
Yes.
wife and mother. But I want to talk to you about when you show up in spaces, you're intentional. You are a woman, you're Latina, and you're a leader.
Yes.
And you walk into that room and you own your presence. And why is it so important for you? Why is that intentional to show up in spaces as a female Latina leader?
Because I didn't have that when I was growing up. I didn't have, I mean, I had many role models,
Mm-hmm.
my mother, my grandmother, my aunts. I have many different role models in different ways, but um, I didn't have a woman like me
Mm.
as a role model. So when I was growing up, I was always told that I was uh, I was too ambitious.
Mm.
That I was never nothing ever was good enough or enough for me. And after the years, right after you become older, have a career, start thinking about why people had that perception, is like I always say that I was grateful for everything I had and all the role models I had, but I was never satisfied
Mm.
because I always wanted to look for something more. I always craved something more in being in different spaces, with different people,
Mm-hmm.
with different women that I could learn from. So when I go to these spaces, I want others to see that regardless of your life, happenings, regardless of where you come from, you always have the power to become whoever you want to become.
Mm.
And I learned to become who I am today, and I keep learning and changing and blossoming every single day. But what is important to me is that my daughter sees that regardless of if I am at 11 o'clock at home crying because something didn't go on, or I don't know how I'm going to make payroll,
Mm.
right? That we always show up for
Mm-hmm.
others and we always give others our 100% regardless of what's happening with us. And I think I've learned with time that you never know the impact that you're having on somebody else's life,
Mm.
when you show up, just by showing up,
Mm-hmm.
just by smiling, just by asking, how was your day? Really,
Mm.
not just, like,
Mm-hmm.
see you.
Mm.
Like really taking an interest on
Mm-hmm.
listening more and
Mm.
talking less.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's it for me. I am always seeking deeper connection.
Mm.
I cannot be superficial. I wear in my face if I don't like something. So I've learned that about myself. if I've not in if someone really, you know, uh,
Rubs you
I,
the wrong way.
I have this instinct. I don't know why. But I'm always looking for that deeper connection and always to do good for others.
Mm.
Um, I know it might sound cliche, but um, I'm always looking to see and listen. Maybe how can I help this person, right? What are you struggling with? Maybe I know someone, right? Um, maybe I don't know somebody now, but maybe tomorrow I'll meet someone, and because I had this conversation with you yesterday, maybe I can make that connection today.
Mm.
Um, so I think, yeah, being intentional, being caring,
Mm.
being willing to listen, I think can change
Mm.
people's lives.
It
And I believe in that, regardless of who you are, regardless if I met you today or I met you 5 years ago. Everybody has always something going on every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And I've met some of my great friends now through networking.
Mm-hmm.
And we always joke, it's like, when did I meet you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't remember.
I remember how we met.
I don't remember how I met half the people I know. So like it's funny because last year a group of us went to Puerto Rico
Mm-hmm. I
to
remember.
celebrate Sylvia's birthday, right? And we started this conversation like
How did we
how
meet?
did we meet?
Yes.
And we still, it's April, we still can't figure it out.
Okay. I
It's
can
like
tell
it
you how
was
you meet
somewhere.
one person. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but I'll tell you how you met one person.
Yeah.
But yeah, like sometimes, yeah. So I can tell you how we met.
Yeah.
At the time it was on social media,
Uh-huh.
and I was doing, I think like I was doing like P-pop or positive vibes or something, and you randomly reached out to me through Facebook
Uh-huh.
and said that you have a podcast
Uh-huh.
and you have seen me on social media and you like my message and you'd like to
Yeah.
have me on.
Yeah.
And that's how we met.
Yeah.
And we had a chat through a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was in 2020.
no, I think it was
No,
2022. 20, I think it was
2022.
2022.
Well, I started the podcast in
Yeah, no, I think it
2020.
was 2022, did I?
All of that is a blur. But,
Now that I forget, yeah. So
uh,
that's how I remember. It was just like, so you had reached out to me like on social media, and I'm very wary sometimes because I get
yeah.
a lot of,
Yeah. I'm attracted to light.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
but I do get a lot of weirdos sometimes.
Yeah. I get the messages of like, oh, you have a great message. Should we be friends? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no. Thanks. Thank you.
So I'm glad I left you for a while. Glad I was like, who is this person?
Yeah.
Like, because you weren't as known then, and
I'm
like,
the
so
weird one.
next I looked at your social media, and I'm like, oh, she's not a bot,
Yeah.
and
She's real.
she's real. 'Cause
She might
again,
not do her hair most of the time, but she's real.
she's real. I remember we ended up meeting on Zoom. I had on a big bow on the side of my
Yeah.
hair because I was going through a bow phase. I don't know. And
And I probably had a hoodie and, my hair was a mess.
not
I
at all.
hate doing my hair.
Do you?
This takes so much work.
Does
I mean,
it? Okay.
I don't,
Yeah.
those that know me know that makeup and hair are not my fortes at
I know
all.
you like it, but you look so well put together all the time. But I do know you
I
like
try.
simple.
I'm a very simple person.
It's okay
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I like glam.
Yeah, kudos to Nati, Natalia Ibarra. She has become my personal. She does my hair. She does my makeup. She
Mm.
comes to my house.
Oh,
She's
I love that.
amazing.
Oh.
And every time I have to do like videos
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, she taught me how to do my makeup now, so I can do like small things.
Effortless. Yes.
But when I have to do like the recordings for Breezy or things
Yeah.
like that, she's at home 6:30 in the morning, and there I am crying because she's putting like lashes on, and I'm like, I'm not used to this. But yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. But no, yeah, it's weird how people meet, and
Mm.
I think social media facilitates a lot of it
Does, yeah.
nowadays. But I like the personal connection, and like I said, when I see someone genuine that attracts light, and I have to meet that person, right? I have to meet that person. Like I became best friends with Precious,
Mm,
and I saw Precious speaking at a conference online,
mm,
and it took me months to reach out to her because she's a trainer for like CEO of like Mercedes. Like it's
mm,
crazy, right? And I was like, how is that person gonna really? And I
mm,
reached out to her and I sent her a message and I was like, oh my God, I hope she replies because I hope she thinks I'm not weird. She replied and we became best friends. Like we became best friends and there is nobody taking her away from me.
not nobody.
But we had this weird connection
Mm,
when we met, and we were supposed to talk for like 30 minutes and we ended up talking for like 3 hours.
mm,
And immediately, so you never know.
mm,
You never know the impact of people. So I think that's why showing up with intention is so important.
mm-hmm,
And it's not about the quantity;
mm.
it's about the quality.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you do that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
glad you still do that. I'm glad you
Oh
reached
yeah.
out because I think that if you hadn't done that, because you and I have seen each other at networking events
Yes.
all over, but networking events is not the place to really truly have
No.
in-depth
No.
conversation.
One-on-ones after.
Like, it's very, very
Yeah.
hard, right?
We
And
have
you're
a
meeting
drink.
so many. Like, I know I
Yeah.
haven't talked to time. So I think I'm so glad you reached out because, and then after that, like when we finally met in person,
Yeah.
then we can have we had an authentic conversation,
Yeah.
and then it was a love fest after that, and
Yeah.
we met and all
100%.
that. But I'm so glad that you do that though,
Yeah.
because I don't hesitate, like I don't like reach out and say,
Yeah, and I'm an introvert.
yes,
I'm an introvert by heart. Even people don't think so.
yeah,
I am. I am
mm,
not the person that I am all fluffy hugs and everything if I know the people.
mm-hmm,
But if I don't know someone, I am the one that retreats and observes in a
mm,
corner. And then I'll be like, should I meet that person?
yeah,
I'm like, can anybody do an introduction for me? Because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And
yeah,
I hate doing a small
mm,
talk.
yeah,
My husband can tell you that.
uh-huh,
He's like, you suck. Um, so I am not.
yeah,
There is another flaw I have, which my husband and my daughter make a lot of fun of me because I don't know what's going on in the world.
mm.
Um, so I'm like, we were watching the Super Bowl and Veronica's like, who's that?
I mean, that could be an age thing, though, girl.
Mom. And I was like, well, I don't watch TikTok. I don't like
Oh God.
start watching like financial news and this and that,
Okay.
political,
Okay.
reading insurance articles at 5:30 in the morning. So yeah, I am not inclined to like, the social aspect of the life that surrounds us. So I suck at small talk. I
Mm,
cannot talk sports
mm,
for the life of me.
mm.
Um, F1 I can, so you and I can have a conversation.
Okay. Yeah, not me. I'm
Conversation.
good.
Um, F1 I'm good because that's a family sport in my house. Volleyball and taekwondo.
Mm.
But if
Yeah.
you're gonna be hearing about my child
Okay.
or about insurance, that's
Absolutely. That's the exciting
yeah,
conversation. Your kid or oh my! I can't believe we've been talking for so long. Like, you
I
have to
know.
come back
I know.
because
It's time,
the
huh?
hour is like done. It didn't
I know.
even get to a lot of the things we were going to talk about. But
Ask me 5 more minutes.
yes,
I don't think people's gonna complain.
we have a few more minutes, but I want to talk to you about self care because I know
Yeah.
that
Uh,
you wearing so many hats, like
yeah.
self care has to be intentional also.
Yeah.
So there's a spa that someone promised to take me to in New York. I'm still here waiting.
Yes, New Jersey.
Yeah, it's New Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's why.
Yeah, but we always say New York. Well, it sounds fancier. We just crop it and we get there.
Okay, so New York. Okay, all right, we're going to New York.
New
All
York.
right.
Yeah.
So tell me about your self care routine.
Yeah. So, I have to say, and I have to be very honest, that from a lot of people I know, I'm probably the worst at self-care because I sometimes burn myself to the ground. And I think we also have to be aware when not to do that. So I'm learning. I'm learning how to put boundaries and everything. But I've learned to be very good at, self-care when I get the opportunity to do it.
Good.
And quarterly, we get to go to Sojo, which is the spa in New York, New Jersey, just across the Hudson.
Yeah.
And usually I just go with a group of, entrepreneurs, close group of friends, or just new that need, somebody tells me like, I'm burnt out. I don't know. And I was like, girl, we're going to the spa. Like, I don't care if I already went last month. Like, any opportunity I have to go.
Okay.
And this place is fantastic. Like, you leave your phone in the locker, no shoes, bathrobe all the way, and you have 6 floors of self-care.
Wow.
So you have the pools, all sorts of pools, salt pools, silk water pool, foot massage, whatever, path with water, many things. You have many things you can do there, and then you have like the spa per se, where you have the Himalayan salt spa. You have the CO2. You have like so you have the jetters. That's my favorite spot because I get very tense. Um, and I usually go and get there around 10:30, 11, and I don't end up leaving till 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then we go dinner, and then we come home,
Okay.
and we sleep for like 14 hours.
I can come.
Yeah. So after I discovered that place, believe me, I don't mind the 3.5 hours. The driving one way and then another.
Yeah.
Sometimes we stay over. But I think, overall, I get to do that and it's amazing. I don't get to do it alone. I get to bring others with me and it's fantastic to do. Actually, my company holiday party was there. I took all the staff and I was like, listen, I'm no fancy dinners. I don't want to get dressed. I don't want to do makeup. We're gonna go to spa, and they all have a blast. So it was great.
All right.
But also here on my day to day, I think it's identifying the things that make you relax and feel better. So for me, I listen to music. When I'm super stressed out, I listen to for a little bit. I listen to music. Um, I I can say like I read a tons of books because I'm so distracted and my brain is going to 100 miles an hour all the time that reading has become a little bit difficult. But listening to audiobooks, that has been the exchange. Podcasts, listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, that kind of like brings your stress levels down. I have now 2 therapists, not one. Um, yeah, I recently started getting medicated.
Okay.
Because I had some episodes, some panic attacks and things like that, and it's important to talk about that too because some people say no, but don't do it. You can manage it, but sometimes you need professional
You
help.
do.
And that's okay, especially when your life is going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you have it's not just a company, it's home, it's other stresses that exist around you, other projects, things like that. So find the help that you can, whatever works for you. Some people have natural medicine, some people you know I also have Gabriela. She's resilient. She's amazing. She does massages, and actually, Carolyn referred her to me, and she does a lot of us. So when she comes to Worcester, she's seeing like Adriana Baccaro, she's seeing Carolyn, she's seeing me, she's seeing a lot of us that we have very high stressful jobs. And she takes the tension away. um, and also having that network where when you are not identifying that you need a break, that they can tell you that you need a break.
Okay.
And I think that's the most important thing. It's having that trusted circle that they can be like, hey, you gotta slow down because you're gonna go back there again. So let's keep it real. So I think it's just understanding and having boundaries when you can, and it doesn't have to be all the time, but um, I believe in integration, not work-life balance. That doesn't has never existed for me, but I do believe in integration. Whatever I can do to integrate my family, integrate my work, integrate my life, I will do the integration, which has worked much better
Okay.
for me.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, I can't believe we are out of time, but thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming on and sharing. And I actually have to have you back on because
Yeah, of course.
we have more
Part
to
two.
chat about. We
Part
we
two.
we have to do part two. So we're in April, so you will come back in June.
Okay.
You heard it here. She'll come back in June and we'll
Sounds
wrap
good.
it up. And we really would like to expand on, taking care of ourselves, mentally and emotionally,
Yes.
and seeking professional help if that's what is needed. Because
Of course.
sometimes we absolutely need it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on,
Thanks
for
for having me.
sharing so much info. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that you're a part of
Thank
my
you. Of
circle.
course.
Yes, thank
Always.
you.
Always, always.
Always. All right. So thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, this is Positively Suzanne and
Monica Adwani.